Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss that. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from the Indian Express and it has come on 16th of June. The title of the editorial is Too Many Taxes, and it says that the GST Council needs to re-examine the indirect tax architecture. It should reduce the exemptions and the tax slabs. Now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. So we see that it directly links with GS paper 3, which has economic development as one of the important topics, and under this it links with mobilization of resources, which includes the taxation system, which is an important medium for raising resources by the government. So after establishing the linkage with the syllabus, now let us look at its key points. So before moving on to the key points of the editorial, let us see what the controversy is all about. So here in this figure, we can see the roti and the parota. Now the GST imposed on roti is 5%, whereas on parota, it has been imposed at 18%. And that is why the hue and cry, that why this distinction has been made. Now let us look at this issue in more detail. So the Karnataka branch of the Authority for Advanced Rulings, AAR, it has said that the packaged parotas would attract a GST of 18%, unlike the plain rotis and khakras, which attract a duty of 5% under the GST regime. And the reasoning given by the Authority for Advanced Ruling is that the parotas need to be heated before consumption, and that is why they are different from rotis and khakras, and that is why they should attract a higher GST of 18%. And here we should know that the parotas of South India is not same as the paratha of North India, which is made of whole wheat, and whereas the parota of South India is made of maida. And most food items, especially those of essential and unprocessed nature, are charged nil GST. That is, there is no GST on the essential food items and which are unprocessed. But processed foods attract higher rates of GST at 5%, 12% or 18% depending on the food product. And because there are multiple slabs, so there is lot of classification dispute, and all the companies want their products to be put at the lower slab so that their margins improve. For example, papad and bread, they attract 0% GST, whereas pizza bread, it attracts 5%. And if we see namkeen, the unbranded variety, it has GST of 5%, whereas the branded namkeen attracts a GST of 12%. And the tax analysts, they feel that the less number of slabs and uniform rates will help in reducing such classification disputes, which are a legacy of the older indirect tax system, and GST was supposed to reduce such classification disputes, but it has not happened because GST also came with 5 slabs of 0%, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. So there is lot of classification dispute because of the multiple slabs available. And here we can see some of the important tax classification disputes over the years. So the Marico's Parachute Hair Oil, it has also been engaged in a classification dispute whether it is a hair oil or a coconut oil. Coconut oil attracts less GST. And similar has been the case with Nestle's Kit Kat, whether it is a chocolate or a biscuit. Nestle argued that it is a biscuit. And this classification dispute got settled in Nestle's favor, where it was held to be a biscuit. And also there was a classification dispute on Dabur's Lal Dant Manjan, where the company claimed that it was not a tooth powder but a medicinal drug, which attracts less GST. So all these disputes show that the GST with multiple tax slabs has led to more confusion and more discretionary powers with the tax officials. And the rationalization of taxes is the way out of this problem, because one of the main reasons cited for the shift to GST was to put an end to such classification disputes. But the multiple rates in the GST regime has ensured that these disputes continue with the product categorization exercise is still continuing to be a work in progress. And the companies, they try to seek clarity since they are concerned about the possibility of any tax demand to be raised by revenue authorities even at a later date. And such disputes had also existed in the pre-GST excise duty regime. But with time, the rates were broadly aligned and it led to lower number of disputes. And that is why in GST also, the reduction of rate slabs might help in lowering such classification dispute cases. Also, the government has stated its intentions to move towards lesser number of tax slabs under GST, though a uniform rate is seen unfavorable for a country like India, which has wide income disparity, and hence clubbing of consumption of luxury products with essentials and necessary items do not find favor. So this is a very important point against having one single rate for a country like India. Because there is wide disparity in income levels, so a one single rate would essentially go against the people who are poor. So that is why it is not very practical for a country like India. So after having this background idea, now let us look at the points made in the editorial. So the editorial makes this point that the GST Council, it must re-examine the indirect tax architecture as it is, and it must make efforts towards reducing the exemptions allowed under the present regime, and it should also move towards reducing the tax slabs, which are at present 0, 5, 12, 18 and 28. And the editorial talks about a case which has happened in Karnataka, where the Authority of Advance Ruling Karnataka has differentiated between a parota and a chapati for the purpose of levying of GST. Whereas on chapati the GST is 5%, on the parota it has been applied at 18%. And the basic reasoning behind this has been that this parota is not for ready consumption. It has to be heated before consuming, and that is why a higher GST rate has been applied, whereas a chapati can be directly eaten. But the editorial says that the more important issue here is that the shift to GST architecture was supposed to lead to fewer tax slabs, and it was also expected that it will put to rest any such classification disputes. But unfortunately, this new indirect tax regime has neither been good nor simple, which was supposed to be its unique selling point. And the editorial says that the tax system under GST regime continues to remain complex and complicated, even for the experts to understand. And also the promise of one country, one tax has been belied, and there are multiple tax rates, leading to confusion and disputes. So GST regime had come with lot of fanfare and a promise of doing away with the multiplicity of taxes at the central and state levels. And it did subsume lot of taxes which were imposed by various authorities, and it was leading to lot of confusion. But at the same time, it was argued when GST was being pushed that reduction in number of tax slabs would put an end to the classification disputes, which has not actually happened. And it was also expected that once these classification disputes come down, the discretionary powers exercised by the officials would also reduce, and the system would become simple as well as hassle-free for all the users. But as the Karnataka case has shown, that such rulings will encourage more and more businesses to seek clarity on classification of their products, and this will lead to more bureaucratic discretion, which is not a healthy sign. The editorial also says that over the last few years, there have been a lot of talks about rationalizing the tax structure as well as moving towards fewer tax slabs in the GST regime. But there has not been much progress on this front. And now the GST Council must deliberate and move towards a system with fewer exemptions and even fewer tax rates. So what is needed is an indirect tax system which gives very few exemptions and even fewer tax slabs, so that there is not much confusion, and it will lead to more compliance and increase the tax base in the country. So this was all in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at the key concepts. So let us see goods and services tax. So this GST is an indirect, comprehensive, multi-stage, destination-based tax levied on each value addition of goods and services, and it became applicable from 1st July 2017. This information is very important from prelims point of view. And also the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act 2016. This is also important. Now GST was brought to merge a large number of central and state indirect taxes into a single tax, and this is imposed at every step of the production and is refunded to everyone involved except the final consumer. And GST is collected at the point of consumption rather than at the point of origin, unlike the previous tax regime. And there are three taxes which are applied under the GST, which are central GST, state GST, and integrated GST. And the GST rate slabs that we should know are 0, 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. 28% is applied on luxurious items and what are called as sin goods. So sin goods are differentiated from the merit goods, and sin goods are those which are usually overconsumed if left to market forces, and the consumption of these goods is considered socially undesirable due to the perceived negative effects on the consumers themselves. And merit goods are those goods and services that the government feels that people will underconsume and which ought to be subsidized or provided free at the point of use, so that consumption does not depend primarily on the ability to pay for that good or service. So this is the difference between sin goods and merit goods. Now let us look at the GST Council. Now it is a constitutional body under Article 279A. This is also important from prelims point of view. Now it makes recommendations to the union and state governments on issues related to GST and was introduced by the Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016. And GST Council is chaired by the Union Finance Minister, and other members are the Union State Minister of Revenue or Finance and ministers in charge of finance or taxation of all the state governments. And it is considered as a federal body where both the center and the states get due representation. And this is important, that every decision of the Goods and Services Tax Council shall be taken at a meeting by a majority of not less than 3/4 of the weighted votes of the members present and voting, in accordance with the following principles. So the vote of the central government shall have a weightage of 1/3 of the total votes cast, and secondly, the votes of all the state governments taken together shall have a weightage of 2/3 of the total votes cast in that meeting. So the central government is having 1/3 weightage and all the state governments combined are having 2/3 weightage in any decision making in GST Council, which reflects the federal character of this GST Council. Now there are some items which have been kept out of GST, and we should know that. And these items have been kept out because they contribute majorly to the revenues of the state governments, and they were not ready to let go of these revenue items. So these are alcohol, tobacco, electricity, and petroleum products. Also stamp duty on real estate transactions, that has also been kept out. And why are they not included within the GST? So they contribute significantly to the states and the center's revenues, and some states earn nearly 25% of the revenue from the tax levied on alcoholic beverages. So that is why the state governments were not keen on letting go of these big ticket revenue items. Now let us look at the kind of questions that can be asked in prelims and mains. So in prelims, one can be asked about the GST, its launch date, the slabs available under GST, and also the GST rate for any particular item which has been in news. So here one should be knowing the GST rate for roti and parota, because this is in controversy and can be asked. Also questions can be asked on features of GST. So here we should know that GST is a comprehensive tax, it's a multi-stage tax, and it is also a destination based tax. The earlier tax regime was source based. And which are the items that have been kept out of GST. And in mains, the question can be asked on the challenges being faced by the GST regime and whether it has lived up to the expectations. And also if you can give any suggestions for improvement in the GST regime. Also an important question can be, is one country one tax viable for a country like India? So you should be ready for points in favor of this and also against this. The government stand is that one country one tax is not practical for a country like India, because any tax rate that will be kept will necessarily put the poor people at a disadvantage. So it is not very practical for a country like India, but still we can have points in favor of this one country one tax rule and also against it. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.